Idaho sort of became an escape for Washington residents.
Two states, two very different approaches to handling COVID-19. A new investigative report is shedding light on how Idaho's lax restrictions are leading to more cases in Washington.
We enjoyed beautiful sunshine on day one of this extensive dry streak, but still tracking the potential for some fog.
Plus, if you live in Spokane, get ready to pay more in sales tax, what it means for the average person, and why the city council made that decision in the middle of a pandemic.
I think this has just been really devastating, obviously very hard on the care team and all the families.
Now, we brought you the news last night. 11 residents have died as a result of a COVID-19 outbreak at North Valley Extended Care in Tenasket. And sadly, tonight, one more death has been reported.
North Valley had managed to go the entire pandemic without any COVID cases, but that all changed just 2 weeks ago. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Regina On. Well, the Okanagan County Public Health District points out that North Valley went months without any COVID-19 cases, but now with a dozen people dead. Leaders say this shows how destructive the virus can be in long-term care facilities.
And accelerated really quickly from no cases, which we had not had cases previous through the pandemic, to all of a sudden having a really large outbreak. It's hard because we're a small community, that this is a close-knit group of people. There's a lot of the residents we've cared for a number of years.
So far, 32 additional residents have tested positive for the virus. Between the nursing home and Tenasket's small connected hospital next door, 20 employees have tested positive, 2 of which have had to be hospitalized.
And today, a CDC advisory panel approved a plan to give the first doses of the coronavirus vaccine to healthcare workers and people living in nursing homes.
Once the FDA approves emergency use of a vaccine, the first batch of Pfizer vaccines is expected to be delivered to hospitals on December 15th. Then the first batch of Moderna vaccine will go to hospitals a week later on December 22nd. It is expected around 24 million Americans will be able to get some of the first doses.
And you hear tonight, 22 inmates at the Airway Heights Correction Center have tested positive for COVID-19. According to the Washington Department of Corrections, over the course of the outbreak, 71 inmates have tested positive.
In Spokane County, 5 new coronavirus-related deaths have been reported today. The Spokane Regional Health District also reporting 327 new COVID-19 cases. There are 126 people currently in the hospital. 59.5% have recovered so far.
Now, over in North Idaho, the Panhandle Health District reporting 225 new coronavirus cases. 4 new deaths have been reported for a total of 116 since the pandemic began. Currently, 68 people are hospitalized due to the virus.
In Benton County in the Tri-Cities area, the first child has died from COVID-19. She was between the ages of 10 and 19. According to the Benton Franklin Health District, the girl had multiple underlying health issues. This is the 3rd death in this age group in Washington. As of today, 199 people have died from coronavirus in Benton and Franklin counties. Well, almost everything has been impacted by COVID-19 this year, and courtrooms are no exception.
Now, while courts in eastern Washington and North Idaho have been able to accommodate some cases, jury trials have been repeatedly pushed back. KREM 2 investigator Ian Smay spoke to a local judge about those delays.
Counties in eastern Washington and North Idaho have moved some services and hearings online. However, jury trials pose a different challenge, but this isn't due to what happens inside the courtroom.
When you think of a trial, you probably think of people packed into a courtroom.
Part of what we do on a regular basis is review the data that comes with regards to the COVID numbers. And so one of the concerns that we had were those numbers were rising.
A rise in COVID infections in eastern Washington and North Idaho has delayed some court proceedings. In Spokane County, both District and Superior Court have suspended jury trials until at least December 14th. Judge Julie McKay says she wasn't aware of how many cases this has affected, or if the county is keeping track. I asked how health restrictions impact both constitutional rights to a speedy trial and public safety.
Obviously, we are well aware of the constitutional rights and the defendants that we are dealing with, but the health pandemic that we are in certainly adds a twist that nobody was prepared for.
Earlier this year, trials were suspended and then resumed in July. Trials started again because social distancing was possible, but with a spike in cases of coronavirus, the risk to bring the public together in court became too great. It was too hard to track what potential jurors were doing outside of the courtroom.
And the concerns that we had were that the folks would be gathering on the outside, not necessarily doing what they were supposed to, and then coming into the courthouse where we summons them, obviously, for jury duty.
Spokane County isn't the only place making changes to our courts. Grant County Superior Court has also suspended jury trials, while its district court is business as usual. Over in Idaho, the state Supreme Court suspended all jury trials in state courts, including those at the county level, until January 4th.
Other proceedings are still taking place in Spokane County, such as juvenile and family court. Judge McKay said her office looked for precedent when it comes to dealing with hearings during public health emergencies, but the only thing they could find dated back to the 1800s, which wasn't very helpful. In the newsroom, Ian Smay, KREM 2 News.
All right, let's talk weather now. Sunshine today, more expected for the rest of the week.
And Michelle Boss joining us now from home. Michelle, besides the sunny weather, what else can we expect this week?
Well, we're still going to be keeping an eye on the potential for some developing fog and freezing fog. I can see the downtown cam behind you, and it looked like it was getting a little hazy there. And in fact, the Spokane airport did see its visibility go down to about 3/4 of a mile during the last hour. It's come back up, but I think we do have the potential for seeing that fog overnight and early tomorrow morning. Visibility is slightly reduced right now in Sandpoint, at Felts Field in the Spokane Valley, and at the Spokane airport. Deer Park was socked into fog today. They're doing okay for now. Visibility at 10 miles. But seeing the sun today did help our temperatures climb up to 40 degrees, so it's a little bit above average right now on satellite and radar. Mostly seeing that fog in the northern valleys just north of Spokane, but again, some of that looks like it could be infiltrating the Spokane area as well. Temperatures are certainly chilly tonight. Pretty much all the locations in the inland northwest reporting below freezing temperatures. 26 degrees in Spokane, 24 in Coeur d'Alene. Here's a look at the next 3 days. The chance for fog and freezing fog each morning, with high temperatures in the lower 30s if we can't break out of the fog, and in the upper 30s if we can see some afternoon sunshine.
Michelle, thank you very much. We'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. Last night, Spokane City Council passed a small tax increase, raising the sales tax rate by 0.1%. The money will go toward funding more affordable housing in the city.
It passed today with a 6-1 vote, but not without some last-minute changes. Our political reporter Casey Decker looked into those changes, how the new law will work, and when you might see its effects.
This actually all started in Olympia. In the past, state law allowed counties and cities to increase sales tax to pay for affordable housing by 0.1%, but only if the increase was put to a public vote. This year, the legislature voted to change that, making it so such a tax could be passed just by local councils without a public vote. The law says that counties essentially get a first right of refusal for this tax, meaning cities can't pass this tax unless their county first decides not to. Spokane County's commissioners decided not to. So Spokane City Council members decided they wanted to. The ordinance increases the sales tax in the city from 8.9% to 9%. Council estimates suggest that would cost an average family an extra $25 a year, and that it would raise just shy of $6 million for the city. So what would that $6 million be used for? The ordinance says the majority of it has to go to construction and maintenance, either of affordable housing units or mental health facilities. The rest can be used to fund services aimed at keeping people housed. And the idea is to create multiple kinds of housing, not just apartments for rent, but homes to be owned. The housing should be spread throughout Spokane, but with a focus on city centers and corridors near public transit and other amenities. And the funding should be used in a way that addresses racial disparities. To help decide all that, the ordinance creates a citizen subcommittee. They'll make recommendations to the council on what organizations and companies should get contracts. So when does all of this go into effect? Well, initially it was going to be January, but a last-minute amendment changed that to April. The amendment also says that the tax might not go into effect at all if the city can find a different way to raise the $6 million. Some council members have said they're hopeful we could see new units built with these funds as soon as next year, although according to the ordinance, construction could legally begin as late as 2023. Casey Decker, KREM 2 News.
All right, still ahead tonight, the countdown to Christmas has officially begun. Only 24 more days left.
But who's counting?
Yeah, kicked off tonight with some brand new attractions that will run all month long. Plus,
if somebody doesn't like the rules in one state, they can literally drive 15, 20 minutes, be in a beautiful locale where everything appears as if it once did.
How one report sheds light on how Idaho's relaxed coronavirus regulations are leading to more cases in Washington.